Here it is. The Fed injects $1.5 trillion to prop up crashing markets. $1.5 trillion. Wouldn't it be amazing if our government could pump in $1.5 trillion to prop up dying people on the streets? Wouldn't that be something? Hey, we have people dying on the streets all over. Hey, we have 40,000 people a year die from lack of health care. Maybe we pump that into them. No. Because this is the 1%. You can't F with their economy. We showed you how on CNBC they always put economics over human health or human life. We showed you that Rick Santorelli wanted to everybody get the virus, kill a bunch of people so the markets don't get hurt. So that's what they are. So there it is, 1.5 trillion like that. And where does that money come from? So is that tax money? Are they going to take the taxes that we pay? Where does it come from?
Is that tax money that the Fed is spending?
It's not tax money. We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
What? Is that tax money that the Fed is spending?
It's not tax money. We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
That sounds eerily familiar to something I was told about by Stephanie Kelton on this show called Modern Monetary Theory, meaning that the money that the government spends has no relation to the amount of money that it's taxed, that taxes the people. None. And he just told you that. No, we just move a decimal point, or we just send them an email with some money. We just do it. It doesn't come from anywhere. Where does that money come from? Nowhere. It comes from nowhere.
But how are we going to pay for it if it comes from nowhere? That's the thing I love. The how are we going to pay for it crowd. I go, he just told you how we're going to pay for it.
Just do it again.
We just move the number.
Just move the number. How are we going to pay for Medicare for all? Just do a thing like he just said.
They're telling you how to do it. So here someone explains it for us dumb people. The majority of Americans want single payer. Congress listens to the majority wishes, like it should, because they work for us, and votes to expand Medicare for all. Medicare starts hiring people and writing checks for health care coverage. When the U.S. Treasury receives these checks, it instructs its bank, the Federal Reserve, to credit bank accounts. And voila, we have paid for Medicare for all. It's that simple. We complicate it by our ignorance. We issue our own currency. We are monetarily sovereign. We decide where our dollars should go. We have the dollars. If you don't realize this, you are complicit in your own misery and the misery of your friends and loved ones. Wake up. So I'm not kidding. There it is. They're doing it. And there'll be some people who will tell you this isn't true. There will be some people who say that's not what's happening. The banks are going to pay it back. How do the banks pay back that money? They get free money, then they buy treasuries, and they get paid interest on the treasuries they just bought with free money. Wouldn't it be great if the government gave me $1 trillion? I could buy, for free. And then I bought. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, there's that part in Peter Joseph's new movie that just came out where they were. I don't want to give too much away, but they were talking about like what the banks actually do, and they're just like, yeah. So then they just kind of make up this other money and they give it to you, but if you don't give it back, they just take your stuff then, and then they get this money, from the government at times. They're like, that just sounds like theft, and they're like, yeah. That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
If people knew how banking really worked, who was it? Henry Ford said that? If people knew how banking system really worked, there'd be a revolution. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Henry Ford said that. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's like, and this is what they do. And so when people are like, how are you going to pay for it? We could have everything. We should be taxing the rich and all that out of a moral, just because it's morally.
Right.
But we really don't need that money. Like if you read MMT, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like that's the thing that people cannot seem to understand.
So they're spending an extra $131 billion they gave to Trump to go bomb people, even though they say we can't afford free everything else is free stuff except bombs. I guess bombs not free stuff. And did they raise taxes to pay for that? No, they cut taxes.
Yeah.
Where the hell's that money come from? They cut taxes. They didn't pay for that. That's not paid. $131 extra billion. Not one newscaster, not one news host has ever said, how are they paying for that? Never. Breaking, Trump says to help students, he has waived interest at all student loans held by the federal government.
Yeah, he did say that.
Wow, what a kind heart.
Whoa.
He's a giver.
Man.
Hey, I don't have any money. I can't go to work because of this virus. I will take care of the interest part.
Don't worry about the interest.
I don't have any money. I don't have any money.
Well, you're gonna be able to Skype with the doctor easier.
Yeah.
We got a website.
And how can we Skype the swab in my mouth to test it for the thing?
Right?
There's gonna be a drive-through that I think Walgreens is gonna do something.
So this 1.5 trillion that the Fed is injecting into the banks, the moves are designed to preserve. This is what they say. This is from that article in Forbes. The moves are designed to preserve liquidity in the market. In other words, the Fed wants to prevent freezes and make sure buyers and sellers still have the ability to trade. It's the third time in 4 days that the New York Fed has announced that it will bulk up lending in the repo market on Tuesday. It announced an injection of $50 billion, and it added another $25 billion on Wednesday. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but like late in October, early November, they were doing the same thing back then. We covered it then. We had Dylan Radigan on the show, and that was at a live show at the Sycamore Tavern. We had Dylan Radigan on, and he explained it to us that this is happening right now. And he gave us an analogy about a spinning top, which I didn't understand. And the reason why this is allowed to happen without a debate, like when they did TARP before, because this is basically TARP. They're doing it again, right? They're bailing out the banks because the banks are failing. So what they started doing this last October was injecting $50 billion, $75 billion, $135 billion. Just giving it to the banks. Nobody made a big deal about it. There were no hour-long town halls talking about it on CNN. No hand-wringing. How are we going to pay? What's going on? And the reason why they're able to do this without a big congressional act is because when they did TARP the first time, they voted it down. Do you remember that? And they're like, oh, my God, the whole world's going to end if you guys don't pass this TARP. But the people didn't want to bail out the banks. Do you remember that? People were angry at the banks. So they finally cajoled and got enough votes, and they bailed out the banks. But inside that bill to bail out the banks was a provision that they are never going to have to ask Congress for this money again. And so right now it just automatically clicks in. There's no debate. Congress doesn't vote. You don't have a voice in this. The citizens are taken out of this. So are their representatives. This is it. This is the 1% set up a system to save their ass when shit goes south, and fuck you. You lose your house, don't worry. We got a super system just for us. And that's what this is. And this has been going on and on and on. And this whole idea of where you're going to get money for stuff is bullshit. That's just the elite's way to keep you struggling. So there it is. And there's more to this. So stocks initially pared back nearly half their losses. So they injected $1.5 trillion. Stocks, they gained back half their losses, but within the hour had dropped back close to their previous daily lows. So they injected $1.5 trillion, and it still didn't do a fucking thing. And you know what they're going to do tomorrow? Another $1.5 trillion. They're going to keep doing this forever. Why would they stop? What are you going to do? They're going to stop? While you don't have a testing kit. While you don't have a bed, a hospital bed when you're sick. When you can't get food. Banks are going to be fine. The banks are going to be fine. The banks never have to worry. And that's something.
It's unbelievable that people just can't. They need to wake up to this, and maybe I don't want this pandemic to get worse and worse. But if it does, maybe it'll be the thing that'll finally get people to wake up. Like, you keep wondering, what's it going to be? Is the last housing crisis? Was it Edward Snowden leaks? Like, when is everyone going to wake up
is
to
it the Afghan papers that let us know that every administration's lying to us about $1 trillion of war?
Yeah, you see those numbers, and then, like, when is everyone going to go, oh, maybe, I don't know. Maybe this whole thing is ridiculous. You really going to read this, hear about this information, and then tell me, and then read Alyssa Milano's tweet that Joe Biden is presidential or whatever? Out of their fucking minds. Like it's the Hollywood elite is just so bought and paid
Well,
for.
the only thing is that now finally the Hollywood elite, there actually is a problem that they need government to solve.
Yeah, because Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have the coronavirus.
Now they have the coronavirus, and now it's going to affect Hollywood blue checks kids and their parents and everybody. So now they're going to need the government to come in and do something. Now the blue checks are. Do you want a demented old man who is still against Medicare for all?
Yeah, he promised he'd veto it.
Yes.
Joe Biden promised he'd veto that.
Promised he'd veto
You really, I really want to sit them down and go, you really think a guy with dementia who wanted to veto Medicare for all, you think that's the solution in the middle of a pandemic that now affects you? That's the only way to get most
Yes.
Americans, especially the neoliberals and the neoconservatives. It needs to come knock on your front door. When it knocks on your front door, especially the college-educated Hollywood neoliberal, it's not their problem. The tent cities in downtown
That's
Los
right.
Angeles
Not
is
their
not
problem.
their problem. But now their kids, when they close down Harvard Westlake, that's when they're going to wake up. Because let me tell you something. Harvard Westlake does not have Marine Corps recruiters on its campus. Harvard Westlake, none of those kids got affected by the wars. None of that happened. But now that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson are self-quarantined in Australia and their kids can't go to this school and that school, now maybe they'll wake up. When Mitch McConnell gets the coronavirus and Nancy Pelosi gets the coronavirus, then maybe everyone will want to talk about Medicare for all. Like, that's what it's going to take.
I think this is what it's going to take, actually. You're right. I don't see how... Really? So now they're all talking about we're going to make the testing free and this free and that free. And it's like, yeah, why don't we just have Medicare for all, assholes?
Yeah.
We're going to make the testing free, not the treatment, though.
Right.
So we'll be able to be like, you're sick. That's a drag. Hope you got your checkbook for the rest of it.
Just think of the lawsuits that are going to come pouring down from this when people go, you knew about this disease, didn't do enough about it, and then you weren't prepared for, 50,000 people flooding hospitals overnight. Like, what are you going to do? And it's going to open themselves up because this dumb country is all about, we don't want to get a lawsuit. They're so fucking stupid in this country. The 1% has made everybody so stupid. Guess what? Their own corrupt system. What this pandemic is doing, it's showing everybody this is how dangerous capitalism is. When you have for-profit healthcare, when you have a government that has been both parties bought and paid for by big corporations, that's what's happening. Governments are actually supposed to work for the people. All the people are like, socialism kills people. Well, you want a democratically socialized medical system that was look.
So not only for the United States, Graham, but like I've heard smarty pants doctors talking about this, and they say, what if this outbreak started in Chad, or what if it started in? So we need to have a global healthcare system.
Yes.
That's what they're talking about. And making sure that each country is properly funded for their healthcare systems. So because it affects everybody.
So don't bomb them?
So right now, Trump is still doing the sanctions on Iran.
Ugh.
They don't have masks. They don't have masks in hospitals in Iran. And Trump is keeping the sanctions on non-military items. No one's screaming about this. No one on the news. Everybody's just like, well, whatever.
Because a pandemic, it affects everybody immediately overnight. And it doesn't care. Pandemics do not care what country you're from, what fucking MAGA hat you have on. They do not care. If you're Muslim, it does not care. And this is a form of insanity.
It is. Well, yes. Yes.
I mean,
and Trump was running around telling everybody it's just like the flu. Some people are going to go to work when they have it because it's all right. He said that. Remember that? It's just the worst guy to have in charge right now. Him and Mike Pence. Mike Pence, who wanted to pray the AIDS away.
Yeah.
That was his solution to AIDS. Pray it away.
No, he's just going to shock the gay out of the coronavirus, Jimmy. That's what he's going to do.
These are the people you fucking voted for.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump is fucking entertaining when he's sticking his thumb in the eye of the establishment. He's a fucking incompetent con man who doesn't give a shit about you. And by the way, has turned his back on every pledge from his campaign except the border wall. That's the one he's finally somehow he got Nancy Pelosi to give him money for that. And then they did. He's turned his back. He said everybody's going to have health care when he was president. Less people have health care. And it's more expensive. What are you talking? He didn't do that. He said he was going to end the wars. He didn't fucking end the wars. We're still in Afghanistan. He's been in president for 4 years. We're still there.
We're still in war in 7 countries.
Yeah.
He gave a $1.5 trillion tax break.
So, yep, that's right.
Which that could have been student debt forgiveness.
That could have been student debt. You're right.
It's like it's at every turn he keeps doing this, and then when are his supporters going to go, oh, maybe this is a bad idea, and when are stupid neoliberals going to go, hey, our corrupt, dumb Democratic Party allowed this asshole to get into power? Imagine if Bernie was the president now and this pandemic broke out. We'd all have Medicare for all now because he would have gotten that like we'd all be like,
right. And this is exactly, I mean, God damn it. If there's ever a clear case for a need for Medicare for all, it's right now. And if Bernie can't land that knockout punch this Sunday on Joe Biden, which we all know he's not, it's just sad. Too bad Bernie's such a flawed messenger. Too bad. I wish he had different flaws. Right? I wish he could just tell the truth about Joe Biden just for fucking 1 minute. Just for 1 minute. Tell the American people the truth about Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Anyway, wouldn't that be something?
I would love that. If he did that, I would love it. And it's like, if he doesn't, what this pandemic's going to do is it's going to get worse. And then we've got climate change on top of that. Like, we've got all these things happening. Australia just had fire tornadoes. And scientists and doctors have been warning about a pandemic for 20 to 30 years. So let's say this one isn't as bad. In a couple months, it kind of dies out the way the flu does, and under hot, what is it, 26 degrees Celsius is when most viruses die out. Okay, great. But then what? We don't have a plan in place? In California, right, whenever it's fire season, we have all these things in place. The fire departments coordinate with each other. All this money is allocated. Command centers pop up because we're prepared for this. The state of California is prepared for this. And we need the whole country and needs to have a global plan for these types of pandemics. And that takes pre-planning, resources, not arrogant. He just, it's Europe's fault. You know, whatever he...
Yeah, it takes not alienating half the world.
Like, it's the thing because, and when these pandemics, as we were talking about earlier, start in poor third world countries that don't have good health care, they spread quicker and faster. It spread really fast in China, but then the Chinese government came in and locked it down. Everybody got testing. They built hospitals. They did all this stuff. And now the numbers in China...
They built hospitals.
Overnight.
1,000-bed hospitals they built.
And now those beds are...
In a week, they built 2 hospitals, 1,000 beds each.
And a lot of those beds are empty now because they've quelled it. Because they tested it. They gave everybody health care. They opened up those hospitals. They gave people money. They said, you don't have to pay your bills. All that stuff happened in Japan and South Korea. And now their numbers are all coming down and ours are going up.
Right.
Because we have this broken system and a dipshit calling the shots.
That's right.
And now neoliberals want to vote for a guy with dementia.
Hey everybody, the next live Jimmy Dore show is May 1st in Minneapolis, and then we're going to Chicago. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all the tickets to all our live shows, and become a premium member at jimmydorcomedy.com/join. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Thanks for your support.